An increase in the overall size and permeability, the ability of blood to move in and out of a blood vessel due to widened gaps between cells. They tell you, I'll just read it straight. An increase in macromolecular permeability, the ability of blood to leak out of your blood vessels due to widened gaps between the blood cells and the actual structure of the tube of your veins and arteries, between contracted skin cells of the postcapillary veins, is an important event in inflammatory reactions and edema formation. The only way your ankles and toes swell is because blood is getting out of the blood vessels and into your tissues. It's leaking out. Our results have shown that butcher's broom extract protects against both histamine and this other induced leakage in the models of these animals, and this is in agreement with previous findings. These animals stopped pouring out blood into their limbs, causing edema and swelling with butcher's broom. It tightens up the junction between the cells and their arteries and veins, and it helps the blood stay in those arteries and in the little bitty blood vessels so you don't get swelling and edema. And they're just stating, we've already seen this reported by other researchers. Now, this is incredible. And I know these are some big terms that a lot of people don't know, so just bear with me. I promise I'm going to make it make sense. Venous vein blood stasis. Stasis means it ain't moving. It's stationary. So vein blood that is stagnant and just sitting in the leg or in the foot, like I showed you those images of purple and red legs. Venous blood stasis observed in patients with chronic venous disease limits the oxygen supply to the veins in our skin cells, which form a barrier between the blood and the vascular tissue of your skin or your organs. Hypoxia means low oxygen, leads to endothelial cell inside the blood vessels activation and the release of chemotactic and mitogenic factors. Our results in this animal model shows that butcher's broom extract reduces macro large molecule permeability. This reads, our results show that butcher's broom reduces the leaking of blood out of your blood vessels to create edema in your legs and in your arms and in your feet. They also state our results strongly suggest that its action can improve the endothelial, the inside lining of your blood vessels dysfunction that is observed in chronic venous disease. This is miraculous for everybody out there that has any venous deficiency issues. And there are millions, 30 million of them. And 33% of all adults have varicose veins. 33% of you all have this. Venous blood stasis. I just need to show you what this is. This is venous blood stasis. That is blood that should be going up to the heart, but instead it's staying down with gravity, leaking out of your blood vessels into your feet and into your legs. The conclusion of this study was, our results have shown for the first time that butcher's broom extract has binding affinity to muscle receptors in the blood vessels. And the activity of butcher's broom extract, called ruscus, at these muscle receptors may contribute to its blood protective and anti-inflammatory therapeutic effects. Now, in this research study, this is titled The Effects of Ruscus Extract Butcher's Broom on the Internal Diameter of Arteries and Veins of a Hamster's Cheek Pouch. Now, they study hamsters, mice, rats. They tell you, remember, we've mentioned this a million times. The reason why we study tissues, drugs, vaccines, and animals first, especially these little animals, mice, rats, rabbits, and hamsters all have the same genes human beings do, and they publish 100% of the time if it's going to happen in a hamster, happen in a mouse, happen in a rat, it's going to happen in a human. So I just want to show you some of the highlights of this study. You are not a hamster, but I want you to see, again, that this helps to dilate or open up arteries to deliver more oxygen to your tissues. Think brain fog, weakness, gait issues. You need more oxygen to your body. And then it shrinks the veins in the body to reverse venous disease. So in isolated skin veins, the butcher's broom extract causes contractions due to the activation of several things. I don't even need to read those, what those are. And through a direct action on the venous veins smooth muscle. So they're just telling you butcher's broom acts on artery muscle walls and on vein muscle walls. In this present study, we used the hamster cheek pouch preparation and investigated the effects of butcher's broom on the diameter of arteries, since those vessels are the preferential target for local control influences and of functional importance for final blood flow. Arteries pump the most blood through your body. The hamster cheek pouch has both skeletal muscle and cutaneous skin microcirculatory beds, so capillaries or little bitty blood vessels in the skin and in the mouth. And in the present study, the experiments were performed in the cutaneous part, the skin part of the pouch of the cheek of the hamster, to facilitate the comparison with data they have already read in research literature. This part of the pouch is highly vascular, just like the human being, and all classes of small circulatory vessels can usually be visualized in the microscope with good clarity. That's why they're using the hamster blood vessels. Now, these are the things I want you to focus on. Studies were performed on 18 male hamsters. The effects of topical application, putting butcher's broom on their actual cheek cells at different concentrations of butcher broom on arteries and veins, internal diameter depended on the temperature in which the hamster cheek pouch preparation was observed. They actually found if you did something at 36 degrees Celsius and 40 degrees Celsius, they saw a change in how those arteries responded to the butcher's broom, which I found interesting. At 36 degrees Celsius, 36.5, arteries tended to dilate. They opened up, just like we saw with the other studies, with butcher's broom extract, or remained unchanged when higher amounts of butcher broom was given, and they found while the veins were constricting. Let me read that again because that sounded kind of confusing. At 36.5 degrees Celsius, arteries tended to dilate with concentrations of butcher's broom at less than 50 micrograms, or to remain unchanged when higher concentrations of butcher broom were applied, while the veins constricted, just like we confirmed before. Sorry, I read that a little bit odd. When they increased the degrees by 3.5 degrees, arteries either remained unchanged for the concentrations below 10 micrograms with butcher broom's extract, or constricted when higher concentrations of that extract were applied, while veins exhibited further constriction. So as they raised the temperature, veins even went down even further. This actually supports my red light sauna space, relax sauna. The saunas I recommend, you apply heat to the body. It improves even your blood vessels and absorption of herbs. Now, in case all of y'all were wondering, well, how hot is 36.5 degrees Celsius? I put it on here for you. 36.5 degrees Celsius is 97.7 degrees Fahrenheit, which is right around where your body temperature should be. So butcher's broom at this degree of the human body will actually open up arteries and constrict veins. Well, how about all of you with varicose veins? Would you like to shrink those back down? That's what butcher's broom does. If you've got spider veins, would you like to shrink that back down? Good. If you've got blood pooling in your legs, changing the colors of your veins and swelling of your feet, you need to be on butcher's broom. In our study, systemic administration of butcher's broom, giving it to the whole body, orally or in a vein, like injecting it. It says it evoked vein constriction and did not change the average artery diameter. So overall, they found butcher's broom, once again, shrinks the veins of these animals, like in humans, but they didn't find too much of a change with the artery changes overall. But they did find it with the 97.7 degrees Fahrenheit. Topical applications of butcher broom extract caused concentration and temperature-dependent responses in these studies with these blood vessels. The contractions caused by the extract are augmented or changed by local warming and reduced by cooling. Isn't that amazing? Rudofsky, this is a researcher, reported a decrease of about 10% in the veins capacity 2 hours after swallowing butcher's broom extract. Within 2 hours, they saw less blood in the veins because the veins constricted by 10% volume. So when the tube shrunk, the amount of blood in there shrunk too. That means you're getting better blood flow back up to the heart. In 2 hours. That's amazing. Our results, they say, showed that butcher's broom extract given orally evokes vein constriction. So they just figured it out also. Topical application of the extract elicited concentration and temperature-dependent effects on arterial and vein diameters. So what they were just disclosing is when you swallow the stuff, it causes vein constriction. When you swallow butcher's broom, which it is in our supplement too, if you're going to swallow it, we see improvements regardless of temperature, whatever. They just saw changes when they put it on topically. You had at different degrees, 36.5 Celsius and 40 degrees Celsius. They saw a change in the arteries reactions, but not the veins. Butcher's Broom as a potential treatment for orthostatic hypotension. Oh my God, I hope you're listening to me. How many of you stand up and get dizzy, get vertigo? That's orthostatic hypotension. Butcher's Broom as a potential treatment for that. Chronic orthostatic hypotension is frequently a severely debilitating disease that affects large groups of the population who have autonomic nervous system insufficiency. And these are those groups: chronic orthostatic hypotension, low blood pressure. It's the elderly, patients with diabetes, those with Parkinson's disease and chronic fatigue syndrome, and anyone on drugs that affect the autonomic nervous system. You want me to name one? Prednisone. You want me to name another? Hydrocortisone. Those affected. Did you know that those are the groups of people that are most affected with chronic orthostatic hypotension? Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this because many of you know and have loved ones, or you yourself are on drugs for orthostatic hypotension. Unfortunately, they state, even though more than 60 drugs, prescription medications, are currently being used to treat orthostatic hypotension, none of them is particularly or consistently effective. Did your cardiologist tell you that when they prescribed your hypotension drug? Did they tell you there's 60 of them on the market approved by the FDA, but none of them are consistently or particularly effective at reversing them? Well, Butcher's Broom, a phyto or plant therapeutic agent that is well known in Europe, may, however, change this. It's vasoconstrictive. It's blood vessel constricting and vein tonifying, making them stronger muscular-wise. Properties make it ideally suited to treat the pooling of blood in the limbs, lack of venous tone, vein tone, and lack of neurally mediated vasoconstriction that frequently characterize orthostatic hypotension. And read this next statement. Ready? Although it has never been suggested as a treatment for orthostatic hypotension in America, it already has a long proven record of use in Europe for treating a variety of circulatory disorders. The results in this study they found: Butcher's Broom, a plant therapeutic agent containing these substances, ruscogenins and flavonoids, may prove useful for the treatment of orthostatic hypotension. In turn, it stimulates the release of noradrenaline at the level of the vascular wall. Butcher's Broom also possesses vein tonifying properties, making the muscles of those veins stronger. It reduces vein capacity. It reduces the blood that's sitting inside those blood vessels. And pooling of blood, it reduces the pooling of blood in the legs and exerts protective effects on the capillaries and the vascular endothelium, the inside of your blood vessels, to protect you from plaque and other things, and smooth muscle. Unlike most of the drug therapies used to treat orthostatic hypotension, Butcher's Broom does not cause laying down, looking up hypertension. It also appears to do something no other drug or therapy can offer. Butcher's Broom alleviates the worsening effects of orthostatic hypotension in environmentally hot conditions. Your symptoms get worse the hotter you get, but Butcher's Broom, you never even see that. It never even happens when you're on Butcher's Broom. Finally, Butcher's Broom is an extremely safe, inexpensive, over-the-counter botanical medicine.